Hey, good morning, everybody. 9:30, you guys ready to go? All right. We're going to go on a 90-minute rocket ride to recruit and retain top talent. I have a lot of slides, and I will tell you that if you want them, simply just take a picture of this slide, or it'll be up again on the last slide, and just send me an email. Say you want the Pizza Expo handouts. I'll send you the ones I did yesterday. I'll send you the ones I did today. So again, just hit me up with an email if you guys want the slides. Now, a little bit before I get into about myself, a friend of mine is a principal. And how many of you all, by the way, have problems dealing with this generation? Anybody? I know some of you in the room are this generation, and I don't want to offend you and alienate you before you start off, but I do have two kids that are in this generation. They are 25 and 23. I gave them biblical names. I love talking about my kids. My daughter's Mary Catherine, and my son is Satan, okay? But a friend of mine is a principal, and he was having a problem with the girls putting lipstick prints on the mirrors in the girls' restrooms. Now, you all know as a manager or an owner of a business, if you tell somebody not to do something, what happens? More of it, more of it, more of it, right? So that's what happened. The principal got on the PA system, announced during homeroom, girls, please stop putting lipstick prints on the mirrors in the girls' restroom. It went on, it got worse, it got worse. Finally, the janitor comes up to the principal one day and he says, look, I got this solved for you. He says, just send a classroom's worth of girls down to the restroom and I'll take care of your problem. So the girls come down to the restroom, they're all snickering, it's just the janitor, you know, they're this entitled generation and all those kind of things. And the janitor says to them, look, let me just show you what I have to do. I know you don't care about me, but I've got to be the one to clean all this lipstick prints up. So he took a squeegee, goes over to a dirty toilet bowl, puts the squeegee in the toilet bowl, goes over to the mirror, and wipes all the lipstick prints off. And guess what? Problem solved. So think of me as your janitor today, okay? My name's TJ Schier. I'm a president of a company called Smart Restaurant Group. We're actually a franchisee of a sandwich brand, which I'll talk about a little bit in a second. But I actually spent 18 years working at Chuck E. Cheese Pizza. Anybody ever been to Chuck E. Cheese? Voluntarily? Did anybody go there for the awesome food? Anybody go there for the outstanding great value and low prices? No, not at all, right? Let me tell you, if I could hire people to work in that environment, I could teach you guys how to hire people in your environment. Well, I left there in 2001. I've spent the last 18 years speaking and consulting and teaching people how to build a team of top performers. We do a lot of work with restaurant chains and other chains like you see up here in regards to guest service and customer service and really building training materials that resonate with this generation. Now, if that's not enough, in 2007, a few friends of mine and I got together to become a franchisee of a smaller sandwich brand called Which Superior Sandwiches. They're based in Dallas, primarily in the Southeast and the Southwest. Anybody ever been to one of those? Okay, so I currently own 5 locations. At one time, we owned 17. We were the largest franchisee for about 9 years, and I spend 70% of my time doing this, 30% of my time doing that. I'm working 9 to 3 in my restaurant tomorrow to cover a day off request, so I will be making sandwiches tomorrow while you guys are still enjoying Vegas. But my point of this is I live what you all are stressing with every day. I never have a day off. I'm getting texts all day, just like you guys are. I flew out here from Boston. I spoke in Boston Sunday. I'm answering texts on my airplane on the flight on the way here. But the key to success is we can solve this problem through our people. Now, how many of you all are dealing with high turnover? Anybody? You hire people and they don't show up for very long, or they don't stay for very long. They text you one day and go, F you, I quit, right? How many of you all struggle with just applicant flow? There are just not enough applicants coming in. And then once they do actually apply, how many of them don't show up for the interview? I mean, good grief. I remember when I was 16 years old, I went to go work at Chuck E. Cheese. This is how old I am. It was 1982, okay? Back then, Chuck E. Cheese had like 14 Asteroids games, a bunch of Pac-Mans and Galaga and all those kind of things. And I went down there. My dad sat there and told me, you need to dress up. You need to get there on time. You need to use yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, and those kind of things and teach them manners. Now what happens when kids come in for interviews? Good grief, they just happen to walk by and think, oh, let's just go try and apply. You know, this generation, and I'm not going to rag on you guys because I am going to turn this around for those of you all that are younger going, this guy's a jerk, okay? Yes, this generation, and it really is kind of bled up. Everybody is about me, taking the selfie sticks. We're lazy, we're entitled, whatever things have you heard about this generation? They have no manners, right? I'm shocked when I deal with younger generation, when they go, hey, dude, I'm like, I'm 53, man. I'm not a dude to you, okay? Come on. Everybody says times have changed. My dad said to me in 1982, oh, you kids have it so easy. You're so entitled. I had to do this when I was 16, and I had to do that, and I had to wear a suit everywhere, and you guys have it so easy. Really, nothing's changed, but in a lot of ways it has, because, 20 years ago, we were telling people, don't meet people on the internet and don't get in strangers' cars, and what do all of us do every day now? We get an Uber and Lyft all the time, right? So on one hand, things have changed, and on the other hand, they really haven't, because back then when I started in the restaurant industry around about 82, 83, the average tenure for the younger workers is the same that it was 30 years ago. So yes, everything has changed and nothing has changed. I am going to now turn it around and stop ragging on this generation, because when my daughter started high school, she was in the ninth grade, going into the ninth grade. We live in just outside of Dallas, Texas, and I was in sports growing up. I never was in the band. I can't walk and clap at the same time. I can't hold a beat. I can't dance. I can't do any of those things. And she joined the high school band. And in July, prior to school starting, the band had to go through 3-a-days. Not the football team, the high school band. 3 times a day, we had to take her up to the school, because she wasn't young enough to drive, to go practice. Now in Dallas, in July, it's around 106. And they had to go out there and practice. Now I was looking at this as kind of a cool social experiment, because we all manage younger people. And I was looking at this saying, how is this band director going to take 300 high school, entitled, lazy, don't want to get to work on time, don't want to wear a uniform, don't want to follow instructions? How is this person going to take these 300 high school ding-dongs and turn them into a machine? And I watched and I watched and I watched. And 2 months later, you see these 300 kids dressed up to the nines, in unison, going in. This is actually when they were in Indianapolis, performing flawlessly a show that is just freaking amazing. And you sit here and you look at, how can 300 high school kids that we say won't work for us and won't come to work on time and won't follow directions do this? It's the same kids. And the amazing thing is, in Texas, high school band's huge. They have the state competition every other year. Her high school band has won the state contest 5 times in a row. So over the span of 10 years, this lady has taken these kids, where 25% of them turn over every year, and she has instilled a culture, and she has given feedback. Her philosophy that she says is, when you have class, it shows, and when you don't, it screams. When you think about that, I was kind of like the rabid soccer fan parent on the sidelines yelling at the refs all the time, and I'm going, okay, I'm a loser. When you have class, it shows. When you don't, it screams. So let's talk about how we can make some epic stuff happen. Now, that was high school band. And you may be sitting there saying, how does this impact the restaurant business? I sell sandwiches, you sell pizza. My journey to this greatness started in 2005 when I started working with this company in Tennessee called Pal's Sudden Service. This is their actual building. It's an 1,100 square foot drive-through only restaurant. They do $2.3 million. They run 200 cars an hour through a single lane drive-through. Now I'm sitting there and I go to interview this guy, because at the time I was writing for QSR magazine. And I'm like, how can this restaurant chain do what they do? The amazing thing is they have 30 restaurants, no district managers, no department heads whatsoever. Their corporate office consists of the founder, who's in his late 80s, the CEO of the company, and an admin that just basically answers email saying, no, we don't franchise. They run restaurants like I've never seen. 2% management turnover, 37% hourly employee turnover. Their hourly employees have to wear dress slacks and button-downs not too dissimilar from what I'm wearing today. Now the customer drives through, they order face-to-face on the right side, they drive around the other side of that Whopper hamburger that you see right there, and they pay and pick up their food in an average of 18 seconds. Now you think about that and go, holy cow. So when I built my franchise restaurant company, we designed it the same way. Me and my business partner, no overhead. I learned everything that I did about people from them. They put systems into place. They have recipes for everything. It's amazing what they can do. The first time that I ever went to visit this restaurant, because I flew in, I'd never been there. I had to interview the guy in a little while. I went through, and I go through the drive-thru. I order a large Diet Coke and a Frenchie fries. That's what they call them. It's $2.12. I pull around the window. I'm trying to be a good customer, so I have $10.12. And the lady says to me, "You've never been here before, have you?" And I'm like, "Damn, they're good. How did you know?" And she says, "Well, sir, we've taught all of our customers, don't give me the 12 cents. I already have the 88 cents in my hand, and I have your bag of fries and your soda in the other hand, so you can just keep going right on. I mean, your tires almost never stop." Now, contrast that to when I went to a fast food place not too long ago, and the total was $5.04. I give the kid a 10, and then I go, "Oh, I got the 4 cents here." But in that split second, the kid hit the $10 button on the POS, and I give him the 4 cents, and what happened to him? His hard drive just fried. Oh. Hold on a second. It says I got to give you $4.96. You just gave me the 4 cents. He turns around, the manager goes, "What do I do now?" And I'm thinking to myself, this kid's a moron, right? But I had to learn to add and subtract when I grew up. Nobody else has to because we have technology to do that. But what I learned from them, they hire people and they make them take a math test if they're going to be on the register because they need to understand math because it'll slow them down if they don't. So I really kind of mirrored everything after that, and this is what I learned from those guys. All right, if you truly want to be the best pizza place and own your community and own your neighborhood, and by the way, these things are being recorded, so if you see a word up on the screen that I don't say out loud, that's the reason why, okay? If you want to do what others can't do, you have to have great people. That Pal's restaurant chain, where they are in Bristol, Johnson City, and Kingsport, Tennessee, you can drive by any day of the week and look at the four corners, and there's Taco Bell and Burger King and McDonald's and Pal's on the four corners. You will see a line at their drive-thru nonstop. You will see no other cars at those, or very few other cars at those places. And when you walk into the Taco Bell or the other place and you look at the employees that work there, and I go in and I talk to the manager and go, "Man, why do the employees at Pal's look different?" And you know what the managers of all their competitors say? "Oh, they get all the good ones." Why do you think they get all the good ones? That's all they accept. Oh, and by the way, if you're late 2 times when you work for them, in 6 months, you're fired. Now, they are hiring from the same pool we are. But they've approached this just like the band director approached the high school band. High standards. The reason you can't get your employees to come in on time and in uniforms is because you allow it. Period, dot, end of story. Look in the mirror. It's very difficult to hire people like that. I use an assessment. I used to use Snag-a-Job. I just switched to a different one because my managers, what happens when somebody walks in? You do this today. I used to do this. What happens when somebody actually shows up for an interview and has good image and appearance and you're making a good first impression? What are you thinking right now? Oh, yes. Woohoo! First question out of your mouth. Can you close tonight? When can you start, right? Oh my gosh, somebody actually showed up. Because what happens when we have a good gut feel for somebody? We want to hire them. I use an assessment. When that kid comes down, I'm typically in strip malls or large shopping centers like Target. The kid comes in, he's got the baggy pants, and he's just going, "Hey man, y'all hiring? Hey man, y'all hiring? Hey man, y'all hiring?" If you don't make it tough to hire, you're going to open yourself up to make mistakes. When I tell them yes, go ahead and fill out the 15-minute assessment, and we'll get an email right after you. I get very few that are read because most people won't take the 15 minutes to fill out the assessment. In fact, when I have people just apply online, I get reasons to work here like this. This is an actual applicant. That is a text from my phone. "Why do you want to work here?" "I really need a job to pay my bills and her seizure meds." Doesn't that make you just want to hire this person? Whew, I guess, and on one hand, he's honest, but he's not going to work out here. So let's go through the 3 components to build a team of top performers. And again, for anybody else that just came in, my email will be on the last slide, and I'll send you a PDF of the presentation, okay? So we're going to go through how to hire. How many of you seriously do not have enough applicant flow? How many of you are short-staffed today? It's tough out there. Now again, let me frame this. I live in Texas, okay? I have a store in New Braunfels, Texas, which is halfway between Austin and San Antonio. It is a very busy location for me, but about 5 years ago, this 60,000 square foot convenience store with 128 gas pumps opened up right across the street from our restaurant. If y'all are ever in Texas, y'all need to go to Buc-ee's. Okay, it's 60,000 square feet, it's the size of a Best Buy. You want to talk about insanity, this is it. These guys do $50, $60 million a year in a convenience store. But they have this sign right over their front door. And again, keep in mind in Texas, very employer-friendly state, minimum wage is still $7.25. This is their sign hanging up out the front. 13 to 15 for a cashier, 14 to 16 food service, $18 and up to be an assistant manager. How do we compete with that? Now keep in mind, think about your typical convenience store that you may go into. Are they looking for that person behind that register to come work at their register? Absolutely not. They're looking for somebody that's probably my $12 or $13 an hour supervisor to come be a cashier for them. They've got a great financial model that they can pull and pay those kind of people in there. But what are my employees saying when they see this sign goes up? I'm going to go work there. Go try. I mean, I'm not going to, if somebody can go get a job for $4 an hour more, I'm sure not going to hold them back. But we have held our own, and you can do this. And I'm going to use the analogy of fishing, because if I want to catch a shark, can I go to Lake Mead out here and catch a shark? But if I tried really hard and spent a lot of money, could I catch a shark in Lake Mead? Nope. Why can't I catch a shark out there? They don't live in fresh water, right? I could probably go over to the MGM or someplace and see one here in Vegas, because we seem to have everything in these hotels. But this is how most of you all recruit. You try real hard, you spend a lot of money, you do it in the wrong places at the wrong time, and you never catch a shark. I can tell you in my 5 restaurants, I probably on average get 50 to 70 applications a week total. That sure is a lot easier situation to deal with when you're the business owner than getting down on your knees and praying that rock star walks in. Now, if I want to catch a shark, what do I need to do? How can I increase my odds to catch a shark? What can I do? Use the right bait. Good. What else? Do what? Got to go to the right place. First of all, I got to go to seawater. I got to go to saltwater, the ocean. Got to use the right bait. Can I go get a little fishing pole at Walmart and catch them? No. Might I need to hire a professional to help guide me to the right place? What time of day do I need to fish? They're more likely to catch them at dawn or dusk, right? This is how you need to approach recruiting. Just like you're going to catch some fish. You have to have some tools out there. You may have to cast a big net. What do they do if you want to catch a shark? You throw blood in the water. You chum the waters, because what does that do to the sharks? It attracts them to you. Think about the chum that you are putting out there in regards to being an employer. Do you have some recruitment advertising or recruitment marketing strategy going on? Most of us don't. I work for a very small brand in the sandwich segment, hyper competitive, very difficult to compete with restaurants that do 2, 3, 4x my volume. Panera, McAllister's, Jason's Deli, all those kind of places. It's difficult because we can't compete on pay. We got to know where to fish. I'm going to show you where you need to put your recruitment ads, what kind of bait to put on the hook, and catch some fish. But you have to know what kind of fish you need to catch. Now, what just ended in Indianapolis yesterday? The Combine, the NFL Combine. So if you think about pro football, I'll use pro football for an analogy for just a second. 53 players are on a pro roster. At the end of the football season, 31 teams did not win the Super Bowl. My Dallas Cowboys for the 25th year in a row did not. We didn't even get there for the 25th year in a row. Okay, and by the way, I saw a bumper sticker on the way to the airport. It said, "Go Cowboys and take the Mavericks with you." Okay, so fan unrest where I am. I did speak in Boston on Sunday, and who just won their 6th Super Bowl and their 9th appearance in the last 18 years, right? How does the New England Patriot organization, besides cheating, how does the New England Patriots organization, how do they take the cast-offs from everybody else and put them into place and get to the Super Bowl every other year? They have a great system, just like PALS. They know who to bring in that will succeed in their system. And they execute on it. So we got to know what we want to catch. Most people don't even know when they're going out to recruit. Do I need a closer? Do I need an opener? Do I need a part-timer? Do I need a full-timer? Nights, weekdays, weekends, days? What do I need? Because if you're just going out there to try and catch something, you will. But it may not be what you want. And when you look at the NFL Combine, they have tryouts essentially. But as an example, they understand by position, quarterback, running back, fullback, wide receiver, tight end, and so on, what is required bare minimum in that position. So if you look at 225-pound bench reps as an example, they don't even let the quarterbacks do it. They don't even care about it. A running back needs 20, a wide receiver only needs 12, an offensive tackle needs 24, a guard or a center needs 26. Think about your restaurants for an example, because what are the talent chips that your people need to be successful? What does a great delivery driver have that an average one doesn't? What does a great server, bartender, cashier, pizza make line person have that your regular employees don't? You have to define those things. You have to have a recipe for the perfect employee. What I did when I was evaluating assessments, and by the way, the assessments are roughly $39 to $79 a month. It's not expensive to do these kind of things. But I tested a bunch of them. I put all my good employees through the assessments. And I looked at what are all the traits that they have, and they show up green on the assessments, and that's what I'm trying to hire. In my business, it's integrity, sense of urgency, cleanliness, team. They want to be in a team environment, and they want to be highly productive. I found an assessment that found that. And so when somebody comes back yellow, I don't automatically not hire them, but my manager knows dig in, because this person may not want to wear our uniform. They may not work for an anally retentive owner because they're more of a freestylist. I can't have that in my business when I'm franchised off of a brand and I want them all to run the same. So if you don't know what a great pizza make person or a dishwasher or whatever has today, you need to define those. Okay, the NFL has 53 players. At the end of every year, some contracts run out, or in the case of the Dallas Cowboys, you get people suspended at the end of the season for drugs again. Okay, so in Dallas at 53 players, we had 53 players, and what happened is some contracts expire. So we have some holes. They're short-staffed. How many of you all have holes in your business? Okay, you have to figure out how many holes we need to fill. The other thing, and even more important than filling the holes, is go through and identify who your A, B, and your C players are. Your A people are the rock stars. You come back from this conference, you go back to your restaurant later in the week, and you try something new. What do your rock stars say? Cool, no problem, happy to. Your who's closing tonight people, that I call them, the B players, they're sitting there right now while you guys are in this conference. They're all thinking you're drinking and having fun and gambling and everything else, and they're all sitting there saying this. All right, hey everybody, you know what? When Steven comes back from Pizza Expo again, everybody just nod your head and go, okay, good idea, Steven. Yeah, good idea. Agree with them, and you know what will happen after a while? He'll just forget about it and it'll go back to normal. Your B players are the majority of your employees. If a manager with high standards is there, what happens? They perform at high standards. Manager with low standards is there, they'll do whatever they can get away with. They just think about that. How many of your employees will do stuff when you're there watching? Most of them. How many of them will not do the right stuff when you're not watching? We have to get that group moved up to the rock star level. I am an A rock star worker. I am a B who's closing tonight workout person. When I go to my boot camp that I pay money for to get abused for an hour a day at 4:30 in the morning in Dallas, even if it's 40 degrees outside, I can bust my rear end if somebody is making me do it. But when I show up at the fitness center in my hotel this morning, about 30 minutes, I'm like, all right, that's enough. That's how most of your employees are. The way I work out is the way most of your employees work. They need people to drive them harder. Just like my daughter's high school band, just like people at PALS. This generation loves feedback. They like to see cause and effect. If I do this, this happens. You can take them to a higher level. And the group that I call the anchors, the C players, they bitch and moan about everything. Nothing's ever good enough. If they won the lottery, they would complain they had to pay taxes. Oh my gosh, do you see how much taxes I have to pay? Oh yeah, I feel so sorry for you. You know who they are. Evaluate the team because we have holes to fill and we have to upgrade our C players. Because when your guests interact with a C player, I don't care if it's on the phone, at the register, at a table, or at the bar, or when they get their delivery, if they deliver an inferior experience, you're losing the guests. C players cost you money, but they're the group that never quits. Why don't C players leave? Because you let them stay. You do. If they know they can slack and somebody will pick up the work, if they know they can come in late and not get fired, why would they risk going to get another job? Because this one's pretty darn good for them. So look yourself in the mirror, look your staff in the mirror, and create a manpower plan. Now, it's easy in the NFL because they have 53 people. I don't know what the ideal number is for your business. I'll walk you through an example in a second. But you need to go through and grade people, A, B, or C. Be honest. If you have managers or supervisors that work for you, let them do this independently, because what I find a lot of times is what I think is a B player, somebody else thinks is an A player. Where somebody thinks they're a C and I think they're an A, or vice versa, and what happens? They're very confused to work for you. The column on the far right is potential turnover. Might this person be leaving? They're going to college in August. Yes, 6 months down the road, they're going to be gone magically. They leave every year. If you're a seasonal business, obviously this is a little bit different because you have to do off-season and tourist season or whatever the case may be. But do that plan, and then if you do not know what your turnover is, shame on you. But again, I weigh too much. It's just what I do about it from this point forward. If you don't know what your turnover is, it's real simple. If I have 20 employees and I had 40 W-2s last year at tax season, I turned over my whole staff. Essentially twice. So if I have an ideal staff of 20, and currently right now I have 19 employees, so essentially I have one hole. How many people do I need to hire? See, most of you in this room don't even know how many people you need, and that's the first place to start. But if I have 20 and I have 19 currently on my staff, how many do I need to hire? Hint, it's not just one, okay? If I have 100% turnover, I turn those 20% of the people over every year, I roughly turn over 5 a quarter. My turnover last year in my company was 84%. My best store was 32%. I see quick service, especially 150, 200%. If you're having to hire 20 people a year, that means every other week you have somebody hired. Think about your labor and how much dollars you spend just on training and retraining and retraining and retraining. You can fix your labor problem by fixing your turnover problem. But you now look at this and go, I need 6 people, and if I just did my manpower plan and I have 1 or 2 people I need to upgrade, I really need 7 or 8. So I need to know what I need, and I need to know where they are, and then I got to go find them, okay? So I'm going to go way out there a little bit. If I need to hire Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where do they hang out? In the sewer. So where, if I was going to hire Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the ad going to be? In the sewer. Now, please, on your evaluation, don't put, this guy's on drugs, he told me to put hiring ads on the sewer drain covers. That's not what I'm telling you. But what I'm telling you is your ads need to be where your applicants are. Rock star applicants, where are they? Where do you find good people today? Typically, the good ones are employed, aren't they? We got to go find them. See, the other thing you need to realize is look at your reputation as an employer. If you have C people interacting with your guests, you're going to lose. That is a hiring sign at a restaurant drive-through not too far from one of mine. What kind of person are we going to attract with that? And I know he's trying to be, he's got that facetious old man disease where he hates this generation. He's the problem, not the generation. Who wants to go work there? How about this? Put a banner up like this. Now hiring right now. Now, right now. Or Linens and Things puts their now hiring with their going out of business sign right next to it. A rock star person is going to walk by any of these ads and think what? These guys are morons. They're more, why would I want to go work there? Now, the person that just needs a job, needs a paycheck, what are they going to do? They're going to go apply there. They're going to attract more C players. Get rid of the C players because they attract the wrong people. Now, how many of you all use websites like Craigslist, Indeed, if you're in Canada, Kijiji, those kind of things? Who loves Craigslist in here? Wow, that one person? All right, good. See, I think everybody bags on Craigslist, and I understand why. Okay, Craigslist would be like just going out, if I'm going to catch a shark in the ocean, and just throwing a big old net over the side of the boat and just trying to scoop everything out. And you pull it in the boat, and you hope you catch a shark, and you got to, pardon the bad pun, fish through everything else to find what you want. Here's what I would tell you about Craigslist. We do use it, but there's two caveats. First and foremost, the number one day and time to look for jobs on the time that most people look on Craigslist is Saturday morning. So if I post a job on Monday with Craigslist, by the time most people are going to be looking for it Saturday morning, what page am I on? Hint, they're not going to get to me, okay? So if you're going to use Craigslist, post on Friday night or Saturday morning. You'll be on page one when the most people are looking. Put the bait in the water when you have the most chance. The other thing is, if you can put a video link in there, and I'll spend more time on that in a second, if you can just kind of get them off Craigslist really quick, it's like a newspaper ad used to be. You can't tell your story. You can't show people what it is like to work for you. So with Craigslist, do it at the right time and put a video link in there because you'll get them right where you need to go, the right people quickly. There's a lot of other sites. We're becoming a gig economy thanks to Uber and Lyft. Why do these independent contractors like to work for Uber and Lyft? They can work whenever they feel like it. And then we have to tell those same people, yeah, but you know what? You need to be here Friday 5:30 to close, and Saturday you got to work here 4 to 10, and Sunday you're working 11 to 6. Yeah, you don't get to like hit the app and go, yeah, I don't feel like working today. It's a different environment, and it's going to continue to be a challenge for us. There are new sites I use when I need to hire people. I put hooks in the water for all of these. I throw a Craigslist ad out. I throw a Snag a Job ad out. I use a career plug because they're connected into Indeed, so they push everything upstream for me that way. Shift Gig is a new one. It's just like Uber for restaurant employees. They're not everywhere, but in certain markets, they're basically like hiring temp help without having to pay the temp agency. I have a store in New Braunfels that does $12,500 a week on average. In 1 week a year, we do $36,000 worth of catering in 1 week. I go give me some Shift Gig at that point and get some people in there to get those. I can teach people how to make boxes. I can teach them how to put together a sandwich that's real simple and get me through my pieces. Think about how you can get a little more creative to staff your restaurants. So let's talk about catching some sharks. How are these ads? Are these going to attract the right kind of people? Now hiring Tuesday only. All right. Limited time Arby's hires. Now hiring daily meal deals. I know this is just, you've seen these all the time, but I'm just like, what level of importance are they placing on hiring when this is the message they put out there, okay? Compare that to this. Pizza Hut, $300 sign-on bonus and up to $20 an hour. Is that going to pique somebody's interest versus this? Sure. I still haven't figured out how McAllister's does this, but work today, get paid tomorrow. Because again, what does the Uber, Lyft type of worker like? They have access to their money right away. These type of advertising messages, these are the right kind of bait that get you to break through the clutter. Everybody's tried internal referrals, and yeah, TJ, they don't work. I would tell you, you just haven't done them well enough. This is a Mediterranean chain in Denver. An associate, refer an associate, $100 after the first 6 weeks, $100 after 6 months. Manager, $350 after 6 weeks, another $350 after 6 months. You got to put it, it's like me gambling in Vegas. Everybody thinks I'm out here, I'll go gamble. I'm like, I don't put enough money on the table to win anything big. If you want to win in this arena, you got to put a little more money on the table. And I know it's hard to understand because it is an expense. But if you think about it, and if you look at all the surveys from the National Restaurant Association, they will tell you it costs your business $2,000 to lose an hourly employee. I would argue it's hard dollar costs $500. They have a bunch of soft costs in there. But every employee you lose is $500. Now on your P&L, that $500 is buried in meals or food cost, labor, Recruitment costs, uniforms. You don't see it on your P&L because it's hidden all over the place. If your P&L said John Smith left, $500, Susie just left, $500, what would you be doing with your P&L on that line every single month? You'd fix the problem. Just understand that recruiting costs you at least $500 every employee that you lose. You just can't see it because it's hidden all over your P&L. Now all of a sudden $100 for an employee doesn't seem like that big of an expense. Because if you spend $500 every time you lose an employee and you lose 20 employees a year, that's 10 grand that you could have taken to the bank. 10 grand you could have had for raises. 10 grand you could have had for recruitment. Or better yet, 10 grand you could have had to market your business to more guests. And that 10 grand would be more effective because if you get rid of all the C player losers, your guest experience will be better. So it'll magnify the impact. Similar to some of those boring restaurant ads you saw. Is this ad going to get somebody to stop their car when they drive by this school bus? And again, please, I'm not telling you to put your ads on the school buses, okay? This one says now hiring school bus drivers versus you'll never take your work home with you. In fact, it'll be illegal. Or make $16.25 an hour doing what most parents do for free. Those type of ads are the ads you need to put out there. You need to put the right bait in the water. You can't put a shrimp on a hook and expect to catch a shark. Chick-fil-A, of all places, needed to hire people in Waco, Texas. And they don't put up a now hiring cooks and cashiers. They put up a different message, now investing in hospitality professionals. You go into Chick-fil-A, you see it. Their service levels are different. The people are more clean cut. Yes, you could argue it's a religious cult, okay? But they know who they are. They don't apologize for it. And they are the most revered guest service fast food restaurant in the United States, hands down, bar none. Period. You can't argue that. Because they treat their people differently. I hope at this point you can at least figure out what sort of message you can put out for your recruitment ads. I would argue that if somebody wants to come in and be a cook for you, or they worked at another pizza place somewhere else or another restaurant, I would have them audition. Come in the back. Here's a great ad. Again, I would never use this in the restaurant industry, but if you're looking for computer programmers, the ad is the test. You can't even contact them unless you can solve this problem. Okay? So use this approach to get people to come in and apply for you. Go out to job fairs. I was shocked when I finally did this not too long ago when a high school called me and said, we're going to have a career fair at lunch. It was us. I'm in Texas. It was Whataburger. It was Chick-fil-A. It was a bank and a couple other places. And Whataburger and Chick-fil-A have all this swag, and they're giving away to all these kids. And I was a little behind the times because I didn't have all the swag, but I had coupons from all to come in. And the thing that I laughed about was Chick-fil-A gave them a 4-page paper application. I had a QR code. I'm like, look, dude, just click on this on your phone. You can apply in no time. But you have a captive audience of people. There are city career fairs that go on. There are ones that are in schools, community colleges. Show up and let people know you're hiring. I work for which not very many people know that brand as a consumer, let alone an employer. And if you're the little small guy in your town, they don't know who you are, you got to get your face out there. It'll help your business as well as your recruitment. Here's an ad I saw in the Buffalo Wild Wings men's room, a sticker on the mirror. Employees must wash hands before collecting tips and paychecks, rubbing them in the faces of their envious friends. If this sounds good to you, talk to the manager about joining our team. Because who does Buffalo Wild Wings want to work for them? People that love beer, wings, and sports. And people that love beer, wings, and sports go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and if they have enough of the beer part, they go to the restroom. Genius place to put an ad. Genius if you're trying to hire a consumer. I use a system called Apply on the Go. It's about $20 a month. It's not crazy, but I have these little cards. I have one restaurant with a drive-thru. We have actually had them outside on the drive-thru, and we have the other ones subtly by the area where you pick up your food. It's not screaming, now hiring, we're short-staffed, please come give us your money anyway. The amazing thing is when I interview kids or my managers interview kids that come in, we'll ask them a lot, well, obviously they got the card in the restaurant. Have you ever been to Which before? No. But you got the card from the restaurant. I didn't realize this. It was just, I'm a little slow. You know what they almost all told me? My mom, my dad, my friend. My mom came in, saw we were hiring, gave it to her son or daughter to apply to get a job. That mom is my guest. Who does she want to recommend to take care of her and her fellow guests? Not some lazy-ass C player. Hopefully she also thinks well enough of my restaurant that she would want her kid to come work here. So think about it again, how you can leverage simple things like this instead of now hiring banners and now hiring signs that scream to your guest, we're short-staffed, but come in anyway. This happened to me. I have a mall food court location, and somebody from the Apple store, one of my supervisors, turned around and gave me this one day. And it was just like touche moment. He got this business card from somebody that works at the Apple store downstairs. And basically on the front it says, you're amazing, we should talk. And on the back it talks about how great their service is, and they think that person would fit in. Man, it pissed me off that somebody would do that to one of my employees. We get poached all the time, don't we? Especially the good ones. Create a card just like this for you, so when you're out, I don't care if you're at a retail store, you're at a bank, you're anywhere, you got to be ready to fish. You have to be ready to fish. You have to have that card right there, just like that Apple employee did to my employee. Of course, now I had to negotiate a raise for him, okay, right? I mean, he played it up. You have to be ready. I have the same cards I use from Reply on the Go. I carry them in my little index card holder here. So if I run into a rock star, or, oh, you own a which? Oh, my son's looking for a job. Boom, here you go. The fish is trying to jump in my boat at this point. Literally, they are trying to jump in the boat. I don't even have a hook in the water. You got to be ready to catch the fish. Be ready, okay? Now, social media is another place, because again, where do people hang out, especially ones that are employed? They hang out on their phones all the time. We know this, okay? Now, I showed this at a conference a couple weeks ago, and the guy goes, oh, TJ, look at you, man. You have one follower. Yeah, this is a good tactic. Way to go. He calls BS on me in front of a group like this. Now, those of you all that understand Twitter, what I have one follower, okay? I'm a loser, I get it. Loser party of one, I understand. But what do people follow in addition to actually following people or companies? What do they follow? Hashtags, okay? So when I hashtag a city name or a hashtag hospitality job or delivery jobs, how expensive is it for you to throw a tweet out with some hashtags? Somebody may not know your brand, but they follow the hashtag pizza jobs or delivery jobs or bartender jobs. There's a million of them out there. Guess what? Now the cool thing, similar to the Craigslist ad, I have a little short code link in there. They click on that and it takes them over to a video about what it's like to work for me. Because I learned this from brands like Chipotle and Panera and Raising Cane's that are not necessarily in the pizza world, but they have these awesome killer day in the life videos. They have, if you go to Chipotle's Facebook page or their career page on their website, and you get there, it'll be an interview with some guy that started making burritos at $10 an hour that's now making 6 digits. That's a general manager or restaurateur, as they call them. How exciting is that somebody just went to a Craigslist ad, clicks on a link, and goes over here and goes, oh my gosh, I can make $10 an hour now, but I have in 2 years, I can make $100,000. This generation loves realism. They love videos. They love those 6-second clips. Don't do some hyper corporate produced old man stuffy video about what it's like to work for you. Let your employees be the stars. Make them rock stars. Let them shoot some real, genuine videos about what it's like to work there. Because if an 18-year-old kid clicks on my website and sees me, I'm their dad, I'm the principal, I'm not the guy they want to work with, but if they see some of my employees talking about what it's like to work there, they're going to go, man, I could see that. That's pretty cool. I like that. You don't need anything but an iPhone and some editing software you already have on your laptop to do these things. And I guarantee you have 16 to 25-year-old employees that could do killer jobs on these things. Do this right away. Now, I hopefully at this point in the seminar have given you enough ideas to just generate applicant flow. If you will go back and do half of those things, you'll be getting 10, 15, 20 applicants a week. You have to change what you're doing. Now let's figure out how we reel these people into the boat. Now think about it. They come in, they finally apply. If it is this difficult to get a job at your restaurant, okay? If that's the only question on the test, good luck, okay? What happens when this person walks in your front door and says, "Hi, are you guys hiring?" What does your manager do? Thank you, Jesus. All right, woo! When somebody with a good image and appearance walks in, what happens in your gut at that point? What are you thinking to yourself? Yes, finally I have found the one. Or I see that resume or that application come across. I'm looking for a supervisor. They live in my town. They're in my price range. This person fits exactly what I'm looking for. So what does this part of my body tell this part of my body? Hire them. So now what does this part of my body start doing when I'm interviewing them? Oh, you're not going to be late, are you? Oh, do you have integrity? Will you get to work on time? And what am I asking the whole time? Softball questions to get the answers that I want to hear, to verify that my gut feels right. I can tell you I learned the minute I started using assessments that I am horrible. I am horrible. I am guilty as charged #1 person when I have a good gut feel about somebody. I mean, they could be a sociopath. They could have been in jail for 5 years. I'm looking through all that stuff. And by the way, you do need to check references, because it was funny. I was reading a story about a restaurant manager not too long ago that somebody listed employment for 5 years. He said they were doing landscape services, and it was actually the address of the state jail. At least the guy was trying to hide it a little bit, and he wasn't really lying. He gave the address, and he said he mowed the yard, and that's what he did. But you got to check references sometimes, okay? Because if we just hire on gut feel, this is what happens. What the heck just happened there? Where did I go? Whew, sorry about that. If we hire somebody on gut feel and we don't do that interview process right, this is what we tend to get. We wonder why that person doesn't work out 2 weeks later or a few days later. My daughter, when she turned 18, went to go work as a hostess in a Mexican food restaurant. All right? I still remember to this day. Her first day of work, no orientation, no training. Her first day to show up was May the 5th. Now, for those of you all that are not familiar with May the 5th in the Mexican food restaurant industry, what does it happen to be? Cinco de Mayo. How long do you think she lasted there? 4 hours. Till her shift was over, she never went back to get a check. And I guarantee you those managers sat there and just said, "Oh, she was a crappy hire." Putting all the burden on her. And whose fault was it? It was theirs. See, it was kind of the opposite of this problem. They looked at her and said, "Oh, she sucks." But they made every mistake wrong in the book. So when we do get these people in and we have a good gut feel, that's why I supplement this with an assessment. Because it gives my manager some direction. This person may or may not like authority. This person may or may not come in on time. So at least we can dig in there. Too many managers ask hypothetical questions. And when we ask hypothetical questions, what do we get? Hypothetical answers. What would you do if you saw somebody give free food to their friends? What 16 to 25-year-old kid is not going to answer that question exactly the way you want them to answer it, which is what? Oh, I would tell the manager. There's not a 16 to 25-year-old kid that would not answer that question right. And so what do you now tell yourself? Oh, they've got integrity. Wrong. Maybe right, but wrong. Oh, I see you were a cashier at McDonald's. Did you ever see a friend of yours or one of the other cashiers give free food to their friends? Yes. What did you do? Nothing. Put them on the spot. How many times have you been late the last 3 months? Not are you going to get to work on time. That's hypothetical. Think about how you can pose those questions differently instead of just giving all the hypothetical questions. Show me how you worked at Pizza Hut before. Let's come back here and show me what you did. If they've never worked anywhere before, I would urge you to let them come in and mystery shop your restaurant. A lot of people have never been into my restaurants. God forbid anybody come into Chuck E. Cheese. We let them mystery shop and they go, "Oh, but these kids are here all the time? Is this loud?" I would rather lose somebody before they start then hire them and bring them on. I hired 2 kids one day, and they came in, their orientation was at 9 o'clock, and at 9:30, there's 2 people knocking on my front door, and I went up there, and I got a little, Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino. I opened the front door, and I go, hey, what are you guys here for? We start today, orientation. So what time was it at? 9 o'clock. What time is it? 9:30. I'm like, sorry, you don't work here. And both of them F-bombed right away. And I'm like, I hate to say this, kids, but you're going to thank me one of these days. This is not how it works. And I was short-staffed, and I was working my butt off. I'm not sticking that person in front of my guests. Your interviews have to be reality-based. If you want to go get a job at IKEA, and I know this is a cartoon, but it pretty much says it all. Make a chair and take a seat. You want people to come work for you. Role play. Mystery shop them if they're working somewhere else. Go over and see, because if you walk in and they're like this because there ain't nothing to do, guess what they're going to do when you're not watching them in your restaurant? Go mystery shop them or let them come mystery shop you. Now, in regards to references, I told you earlier we should check references. One thing I've learned, most managers, especially in chains, are very well trained to give out no information other than maybe dates of employment. I learned a long time ago, if I need to do a reference, I'll just call up the restaurant. I hope I don't get the manager. I will not ask for the manager, but I will just call up and say, hey, this is TJ over the Witch down the street. Did you ever work with Billy? And it's just an employee. Yeah? What was it like working with him? What is an employee that worked with somebody going to tell me? They're going to tell me exactly what it was like working with Billy. I can use that information because our managers, when we call to check references, have been trained not to say anything. So I would encourage you, call for references, but don't call and ask for the manager. Hey, did you work? Was he there on time? Well, how was he like to work? Those kind of things. It makes a big difference. You'll get information you may or may not like, but you'll get information that you can't get anywhere else. Make those interviews role play based. Now I'm going to switch kind of gears because that's getting the people to the party. Maybe that's getting some upgrades lined up. But if you take a clean shirt and throw it in the dirty laundry, i.e. you have a toxic culture there, you have C players in there, what's going to happen with the clean shirt when you throw it in the dirty laundry? They're going to leave. They're going to leave. And if you have a toxic culture, think about the NFL right now. Who for the last 10 years wanted to go play in Cleveland? Nobody. They had to overpay for mediocre talent, and they still sucked because of their reputation as an employer. Get rid of the C players before you start bringing in new ones, because the weeds always pop up first, and they pop up the fastest. Richard Branson said, train them well enough so they can leave, treat them well enough so they won't. You've heard the old, what if we train them and they stay? And what if we train them and they quit? Well, that's worse than if we don't train them and they stay, right? It's an old adage in our industry. Train them right, treat them right, and you'll improve your chance of success. The philosophy that I learned from pals is train them until they can't get it wrong. I watched the band director train these 300 high school kids in the sweltering heat. They would practice 20 seconds of music and marching until they got it down where it became habit and behavior. Then they added another 20 seconds. When you go work at Pals and they do 200 cars an hour, you can't drop a new person into the bullet train and expect them to be fast enough unless they have gotten to be proficient ahead of time. I see managers to this day in a lot of industries go, I don't train my people on slow nights, I train them on busy nights so they can learn fast. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is the busiest night you have, the most people to impact, and you're going to mess that up putting a new person in there? Are you insane? Make a little investment, but practice until they can't get it wrong, because if it becomes habit, if somebody's making pizzas on the line, or somebody's cutting pizzas on the line, what happens when they have to think? The minute they have to think, okay, what size is this and how many pieces do I cut this into? What now happens behind them with that conveyor oven if you got one of those that never stops? Or the stone oven that you're now leaving a pizza in there for far too long because this person's got to think about their job. We have to make it habit for them. Speed increases, accuracy increases if they don't think. Practice, practice, practice. If you look at this is actually a college band. This is Ohio State. They actually have an iPad, but they used to do these on drill cards, like index cards. Every single step is mapped out for them so that they have no question about what they're supposed to do. The session I taught yesterday was all about systems. PALS tells you how many pens and pencils you need. There's a recipe for everything. Get out of the gray, because it's hard to replicate gray. When somebody says how much pepperoni goes on this pizza, there better be a number or a weight that they have to put on there, period. If there's not, you're just asking for trouble. So make the training very precise. Now, if you're in a smaller company and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how do I build all these training materials? Somebody asked me this question yesterday. I should have put a slide in here. Restaurantowner.com. They have a template for everything. It's like $15 a month subscription fee. They have a template for ops manuals, catering, you name it. It's all there. There are so many things you can, if you want to teach how many of you all are full service restaurants with a bar, have liquor? Okay, a lot of you guys, all right? If you want to get them to learn more about beer, wine, and spirits, it's all on YouTube already. Just put that as part of your training. Click on this link, go watch this video to learn about craft beer, to learn about Chardonnay or Cabernet or whatever the case may be. Food safety, leadership, guest service. Every speaker worth their salt has thousands of clips out there. You've got a free training program online, so leverage what they have. Leverage your vendors. Coca-Cola, I'm sure every food distributor, Pepsi, every liquor distributor, they have training materials. If you go and Google A1 server training, you can find a complete server training program that Jim Sullivan and myself did for Kraft a few years ago. That's how to train servers to make more money. Google Cornell University Mega Tips, and again, this is only for the full service people in the room, but they did this massive study to see what behaviors of servers did to make the people tip a higher percentage. How cool would that be if you can go to your servers and bartenders and say, let me show you how to make more money. If we can teach our employees how to make more now in a cashier environment or a phone environment, we've got to teach them how to do this with a little bit of incentive, which I'll talk about in the last part. What I did in my case, and I learned this from PALS, is I made flashcards. When it's slow, I want people to just quiz and quiz and quiz and quiz, because I don't want them to be thinking, what's the special of the day? Greet me as if I'm a first-time guest. Greet me as somebody you know. Suggest item X to me. Specs for the back of the house and those kind of things. I have QR codes to videos, just like you could see on YouTube or anywhere else, but I also do them. I made some custom ones simply with an iPhone, real cheap, on order accuracy, on speed, on hospitality. So if I have problems with service from my guests, I can direct the stores to watch the video in their position, no hardware required, they just click it on their phone. I kid you not, I read a story about Kentucky Fried Chicken last week. They are using Alexa. They have an Alexa in the back of the house, and somebody says, hey, what's the recipe to bread chicken, Alexa? Or Alexa, what's the recipe to bread chicken? Boom, tells them. Now, you think about that, and on one hand, it's like unbelievably lazy. But how does this generation that is growing up, especially even the younger ones that are going to come into our workforce, how do they learn right now? It's not reading a book. It's not memorizing stuff. It's, hey, Alexa, hey, Siri, hey, Google, hey, YouTube. Leverage that, because you as even a chain or an independent operator, you have all of that stuff at your disposal for very little. Now let's talk about retaining this group. Quick quiz. What do you see up here on the screen? What do you see? A dot. Somebody said 2 dots. I was out drinking too much last night, right? 99.9% of that screen is white. Most people say, I see a black dot up there. Because human nature, what do we notice most of the time? What's wrong? I was guilty of this. I wrote a book called Send Flowers to the Living. Because think about this. When do most flowers show up in relationships? At the very beginning, when we're trying to impress somebody. When they have to, anniversaries, birthdays, and at the end when it's too late. We think about that, guys. How many of you all have ever walked through a floral department in a grocery store, been in a florist, to see another guy, and what do you say? What'd you do wrong, right? What'd you do wrong? Ladies, what happens when the flowers show up on the days they're supposed to? Check, you had to. When they show up out of the blue when they didn't have to, what are you thinking? Oh, what'd he do? What's he trying to butter me up for? We have to recognize our people. We have to become white screen managers, okay? If you're a black dot manager, and it's tough to break that habit because most of us learned how to manage from black dot managers. My son came home when he was in 4th grade, 98 on the spelling test. What were the first words out of my idiotic mouth? What'd you miss? Restaurant. I'm like, dude, you missed the word restaurant? It's like written all over our house. That's all we've ever done forever. How do you not know how to spell restaurant? But it was a black dot moment for me, okay? You want to see what kind of manager you are, walk through your kitchen. Just walk up to the expo line, walk to the end of, hey, who made this pizza right here? What are your employees going to say? Not me. What's wrong? Psst, it was him. That's just it's a step on the scale moment for you. You're going to learn if you're a white dot or a black dot or black dot or white screen manager, okay? Just take that test when you get there. Now, who made this pizza? Not me. What's wrong? Man, this is perfect. Everything is awesome. You know what? The only thing wrong is the pepperoni's upside down. If you don't get it, it's an Amazon joke you'll get later today. Okay. Every one of you in this room is going to use that because don't use it on a new employee, though. It's just not fair, okay? Because they're literally going to be sitting there. I've turned my pepperoni joke from Chuck E. Cheese into tomato slices at a sandwich cafe, so it works too. Who made this? This looks great. This is perfect. Now what happens the next time you walk through the expo line? I did it. And pretty soon, it's like crack. It's addictive. They love this generation loves to be the highlight of the show. Leverage that, old man, old lady. Don't fight it. Leverage what they love. They love attention. Create some attention by becoming a white screen manager. Now, we've been sitting down for quite a long time. We got about 20 minutes to go. I'll try and get you out here a little bit early for the show. But I want you guys, I know you love sitting down, but everybody stand up and find a partner real quick, okay? Just stand up and find a partner. Just partner up into twos, okay? Now. All right. Okay, pick somebody to be player A, somebody to be player B. All right, is there a player A and a player B in every group? Okay, quiet real quick, this is important. Social experiment. If we are in the guest service business, if I say pick somebody to be player A and somebody to be player B, if you have a service gene in you, what should you have said? You be A. How many of you all were like, oh no, alpha male, baby, I'm A. Okay, just social experiment. Who are my player A's? Who's my player A? There should be one player A in every group. Okay? All right, player A and player A only. Player A make a fist at waist level of player B. Player A make the fist. Okay, so player B, you should not have a fist other than the one that is being pointed at your waist. Okay, player B, your job is to get that fist open in any way possible. Go. All right, 3, 2, 1, time's up. Time's up. Time's up. Pencils down. If you did not get the fist open, both of you sit down. If you did not get the fist open, both of you sit down. Okay? Now, okay. Let me pick on somebody else back here. What hat is that? Atlanta Braves? I didn't know they had pro baseball in Atlanta. Okay. Did you get the fist open? How did you get the fist open?
I held up my hand and he opened.
So you demonstrated what you want to do. You had like a handshake, right? Okay, so if you demonstrate, either give them hey, give me a high five or shake my hand. Go ahead and sit down. Okay, if you did that, all of y'all did that. That's specific behavior. What did you guys do right here? You tickled him. Hey, will you peek down the hall? Tell me what time the sexual harassment seminars are. Okay. If you tickled the other person, go to the HR session. And what did you guys do over here? You asked him to open it. Wow, that was all we had to do for this game? It was that simple? Okay, great. So if you ask them, go ahead and sit down. What did you guys do?
I pried it open.
You pried it open. Okay, so if you physically forced it open, go ahead and sit down. Did anybody do anything different? What did you do back there? You handed her my money. Is she married to you? Okay. Just ask Robert Kraft about that, okay? You got to be real careful with that. Is that what you did? Okay, so anything else? You just let go. You just gave in. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, so here's the point of this exercise. Player A, you're the great employee. You have the desired behavior in the palm of your hand. Player B, you were the manager. What was everybody, player B, what was your first thought to do? Pry it open, right? Player A, when they started forcing your fist open, what did you start doing? You started resisting, right? If we want to get our employees to do what they are capable of doing, in this case, just opening their fist, let's go through what works. Yes, you can force it open. When you are forced to do something, human, what happens when that person leaves? You're going to pay them back, right? So what works? Ask them. Now let me put a big caveat on this because this is often misunderstood. This is like Leadership 101. This is not please come in on time. Please wear your uniform. Please don't be a jerk to our guests. Please keep the door unlocked until we close at night, Mr. or Mrs. Supervisor. Those are things they're paid to do. If you have to ask your employees to do those things, it is a supervisor problem, not an employee problem because you allow those things. What I am talking about with asking the employees, hey, we need to bump up suggestive selling here. What can we do? We need to lower our cook times. What can we do? We need to figure out how to get our arms around food costs. What suggestions do you have? That is with any idea you get here at this show that involves the employees. What I would do when you get back is get all your employees together, get your management teams together, and just shut up and listen and say, hey, what do you think about improving costs, building sales? What marketing ideas? You already have all the notes in your phone. You know what you want to tell them you're going to do, but they will argue with your programs all day long. If I can get them to come up with the ideas, even though I've got them right here in my back pocket, they won't argue with their own stuff. Ask your employees. Bill Clinton, not too long ago, said nothing to do with the blue dress, their good idea is better than our great idea. Their good idea is better than our great idea. I have no doubt. I do this as a consultant all the time when I work with a company. I don't go in and tell them what I think they should do. Okay? You know the definition of a consultant, we borrow your watch, tell you what time it is, and charge you $150 an hour, right? Okay. I let them tell me. Because if I'm hired to go in and change the customer service culture in a restaurant chain, I meet with all the employees, and what are the issues? What do you suggest? So that when we go to roll this out, guess whose program it was? The employees. Now, some of you offered money. It works. If they don't open their fists, you don't give them the money. I'll tell you how to do that so you get a return for sure. Ask them. The tickling one, not so much, okay? But make it fun. Make it fun. And then the last one was the person, usually this is the hardest one to find. It was the first one this time. It's lead by example. Hey, my name's TJ and you are, hey, give me a high five. You want the culture to change in your restaurant, you have to make sure you're leading the charge. You are behaving the way you want your employees to behave. You're taking shortcuts, they're going to take shortcuts. You're a little rude or smart ass to the guest, they're going to do the same thing. You're so awesome you don't have to weigh the stuff when you're making the pizzas. Good luck trying to get them to do it, especially when you're not there. So here's some incentive ideas. First and foremost, create a recognition currency. In my case, my group's called the Smart Restaurant Group. We just created little business card size pieces of paper. They're just like tickets at Chuck E. Cheese. What did people at Chuck E. Cheese save tickets for? Overpriced crap. I know, I don't get offended. It's been a long time since I worked there. We give our employees these cards. They're worth 25 cents per card. I give my managers $300 a month to give out. So basically, I take a $75 P&L hit every month for employee retention. They can only give them out for above and beyond behaviors. They can't use them to bribe people to come in on time. They can't use them to bribe them to wear their uniforms. That's a manager problem, not an employee problem. So as an example, somebody gets a great guest comment, they give them some cards. Somebody comes in early to help us out because we've got a last-minute catering order, they give them some cards. A&W in Canada uses poker chips are worth $1. This becomes our currency. The kids in my restaurants can buy whatever they want, whenever they want. They just have to bring it to me. Hey, TJ, I have 500 cards here. I want a $125 Walmart gift card because I'm going to buy my family Christmas presents. I'm going off to college in August, and I'm going to turn in all my cards to get a $100 Target gift card so I can help furnish my dorm room. Yes, you heard me. They're turning them in as they quit. And you might sit there and go, well, that's dumb, you moron. But what did that person do that whole time they worked for us? They were running around looking for stuff to do above and beyond. My mantra is make the guests say, wow, and that's what I want them doing. I want them to think about those things. Here's a perfect example of how this can work. Let's say I need 6 people to run my pizza line on a Friday night. I need 6 people to run my kitchen. All right, I got these 5 people here plus Renato. 5:30 Friday night, Renato texts me, hey man, I'm sick, I can't come in. Right, sure, okay, right. So we tell the 5 people here, hey, Renato's not coming in. What happens to the morale of these 5 right now? Ugh. What's the vibe that we now put out of the kitchen to the servers or the cashiers or somebody dealing out in the front of the house with our guests? Pizza times go up. Quality goes down because we're short-staffed. Black dot manager. White screen manager. Hey, all of you guys, Renato's not coming in today. All right, I'm going to give everybody 4 smart cards an hour. I'm going to give you $1 an hour extra, okay? No mistakes, nothing over our standard cook times. You do that every hour, you do that tonight, everybody gets $1 an hour extra. What happens that night? How are they feeling right now, first of all? Jazzed, right? What does that vibe go out? This is going into every pizza with that guest now, right? The total vibe changes, my total guest experience changes. They all make $1 an hour extra. What happens tomorrow night when I have the same 6 people scheduled? What are these 5 doing? Yeah, because I can make $1 more an hour extra. Now keep in mind from the business owner's perspective, what am I getting out of this? In the black dot case, I get $10 an hour savings, right? But then I run the risk of pissing off my guests. In my white screen manager case, I save 10, I pay 5. I save 5, they make 5. Good for me, good for the employees, and ultimately, who is it the best for? The guests. So this is how our managers use recognition currency to do things. Now here's some other contest ideas. You got to challenge your staff. This could be a cashier, this could be a server, the numbers would be different, everybody's concept, I understand that. Too often you run contests to cashier, server to server, bartender to bartender, phone answerer to phone answerer. The same people win all the time, the busiest section, the busiest shifts, they always win. Make people compete against themselves. If I'm a server or a cashier and my check average is $12, I go to them and say, look, for every dollar you bring me in over what you currently produce, which in this case is $12 average check. So in this case, they run a couple shifts, they get up to $12.50, they take care of 200 guests that day. They brought me in $100 extra dollars. If I give them 40 smart cards, which is worth $10, I'm basically giving them 10% of what they're bringing into me. Now keep in mind, if they don't do anything different, if they still run a shift with $12 average check, what did that cost me? Nothing. If they run a $12.50 average check and they took care of 200 people, I get $100 extra dollars and I gave them 10. Maybe it's just 5. I don't know what the right number is for you. But what are they going to do each and every day from now on? Work harder. The crazy thing I learned in this 6-person example is I don't need 6 people to run a kitchen on a busy Friday night. What do I need? 5 highly motivated ones. We can take this generation who loves to get more stuff for me, and we can leverage that as business owners and find 5 rock stars instead of 6 people just dragging. Because there's an old saying, work expands or contracts to fill the time allotted. They only think it requires 6 people because we've let them require 6 people. I'd rather pay them $5 more and let that person go elsewhere. Now, if you have a person answering the phone, a host or a cashier, they need to suggestively sell, get them a bingo card. Because I see a lot of servers especially, they just have like a go-to, they sell that one item, and if the guest orders it, they don't know what to say. I have an acronym, sales is sell a little extra something. I don't care what the guests buy, as long as they buy a +1. Buy something extra. So keep in mind, if somebody's a regular, they may never open your menu. They may not even know about the new LTO or the special that you have, unless that server mentions it to them. And if they have a bingo card and they haven't filled out that square yet, they're going to be pushing that one. This can work on the phone. I've seen AMC movie theaters do this at their cash registers. It's just to teach and an upsell. Fraction of the action, I'm going to talk about sales, I'm going to talk about with profits. Catering is a real big, important thing and part of my business. I give any employee 10% of any catering order they get me. So if they see somebody walk in with a car dealer name tag and they start talking to them and they shoot me a text with that person's information and I get a catering order from that car dealership for $800 this Saturday, I give them 10% of the order. They see a high school basketball coach, a middle school football coach walk in, they start talking to them, they see somebody with a lanyard on, with a school district ID or a company ID. That's what happened right here with Sarah Francisco. That's the first person that got a check from us. She called me so excited one day, and she says, oh, I saw a guy walk in with a Keller ISD name badge on. And I started talking to him about teacher meals. And he turns out he was the debate coach, and they were hosting a big tournament in 2 weeks, and they ordered just about $3,000 worth of boxed lunch meals from us. So I at that point got my ops guy, said, we need to give her $295. And part of me goes, God, I got to give her $300 for that? Really? Had she not talked to that person, what would I have gotten out of that? Zero. She makes $12 an hour. Okay, this is like her working 20 more hours that week. I am a cheap franchisee on one hand. I found a dry erase check that is the same check in every picture, okay? Full disclosure, $44, bigcheck.com, with my logo on it. I write in green because that's the color of money. But when we were done, I gave Sarah the $200. I grossed it up. I gave her $295. Not cheap ass. Yeah, it's $295 less taxes. I gave her $295. I grossed it up on her check. Okay. I thought the money was what it was all about. And she says to me, "Can you send me the picture?" And I'm thinking to myself, "What do you want the picture for?" I'm 53. Okay, I was probably 48 back then. But what did she want the picture for? Brag montage, Facebook, Instagram, boom. I said, deal, but can I use that picture in my recruitment ads? Because my recruitment ads say hourly incentive pay. That is a quite different message than now hiring. It's just like now investing in hospitality professionals. It all ties together. The biggest check I've written to date was $510. I got a call about a year ago from a supervisor who was about to jump through the phone, and she says, "Is there any cap on the bonus?" Now, can you imagine getting that phone call? Is there any cap on the bonus? And I said, no, why? And keep in mind, I made a training video called Sales Radar. And it was just a 1-minute video, and it was essentially to get my employees to look at the guests beyond just they're here to order a sandwich. This person's a pharmaceutical rep and needs catering. This is a PTA person. We could talk to them about fundraisers. This person's the high school basketball coach. We need to talk to them about team meals. See the guests for beyond just the transaction today. And she says, well, this guy walked in with a Walmart distribution name tag on. And I just started talking to him because there's a Walmart distribution a mile up the feeder road from our store. And she says, lo and behold, he wants to buy 850 box lunches at $6 in a couple weeks. $5,100. $510 check. 850 people that ate my sandwiches that may have never ever been in a Which Wich. That is the most effective marketing tool because I spent $510 on advertising with an employee who generated 10 times that on the return and introduced up to 800 people my brand. Think about how you can make everybody a salesperson because everybody bitches and moans about I need more hours, I need more hours, I need more sales. I do this a lot. You could do this in your world easy. Right now, my company, we're in a tough, hyper-competitive segment. My company is flat for the year. My brand is down probably, I can't say it on tape, this many, okay? We're flat. I can fully tell you it is because of this one thing. I went to all my employees. I got 10,000 coupons printed in January. I got 10,000 coupons in February, 10,000 coupons printed in March. I said, write your name on them. You get 25 cents for every one of them redeemed. I've done direct mails that work, that don't work. I've done all this expensive marketing stuff that we never had a lot of success with. So we let the employees, now some of the employees go, that's stupid, I'm not doing that. Okay, I don't care, fine. You're gonna just make what you make. Doesn't matter to me. But I have some highly motivated people, and I'll pay them, but they'll go out, they'll say, hey TJ, can I add an hour a week to go out and do feet on the street marketing? Sure. Here's the places you need to go. Go to the schools, go to the car dealers, go to these places. They walk into Best Buy. How many employees you have here? 100? Here's 100 which coupons. My redemption rates are pretty darn high. Now, I did have somebody abuse us when we first started, so I had to, some wise-ass employee of mine just had them at the register. Every guest that was coming in was giving them to them, so I had to kind of put the caveats out. I said, look, you can give them out at the register, but only after they've paid, and you give them to take back to their office, take back to their store, take back to their school, and give them out. So I want them to look at this person and say, oh, you teach at school X? How many teachers are there? 100? Here, take these back, and by the way, can I get your contact information so TJ can talk to you about catering meals? I do 3 times the amount of catering as an average which. This has gotten me to flat in a hyper-competitive segment where everybody else is down. You could do these on driver bounce. You put them on the boxes for driver bounce backs. You could have them doing feet on the street. But again, they don't like to just go put door hangers out everywhere. Give them something to do it, okay? This is a great pizza one. Put $1, put $21 bills up on the expo line. Every time a pizza goes over your standard time or there's a mistake, $1 comes off. What do they start doing when the shift starts to teeter? They start helping out because they don't care about it when it's my money. They care about it when it's their money. Why are we all gambling out here, right? We're trying to win something. This works, driving speed and accuracy and ultimately guest experience. If you have a full service restaurant, teach your servers how to make more money. This is in that tips for better tips. Because if they do $800 on a shift and get 15%, they make $120 a day. Most servers, most bartenders think I make $120 a day, make $100 a day, $80 a day, whatever the number is. They don't think how much that is a year when they work 200 shifts. So like in this case, if I can or 250, whatever the number is, if I can get them to sell more and serve better, where their sales go up and their tip percentage goes up, I'm not going to have when I leave this meeting, I'm not going to have, or this conference, I'm not going to have a sign that says mandatory employee meeting Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I'm going to say, any server that wants to make $10,000 a year more, show up at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Not all your servers will because it requires work, but your good ones will. They don't understand they can make that much more money over the course of a year. They're less likely to leave when we teach them how to make more money. Now, in the back of the house, we run into a lot of problems because it's a little bit tougher to incentivize them with sales contests and stuff like we do in the front. But if you have a food cost problem, I guarantee you most of your managers or most of your employees probably think we make about 80% profit, right? They don't understand that we're 20, 35% food costs, 20, 30% labor, somewhere around there. But if my food cost is too high, half a point too high, I incentivize the staff. I don't like to give raises. I like to give bonuses or incentives because they have to do something first. So I get my return and they get their return. You give somebody a raise, all you do is just lower your profitability, flat out. You're not going to get a change in behavior for most people. So in this case, if they get the food cost down 20 cents, or 0.2, they get 20 cents an hour bonus. And if they get it down 30 cents, 0.5, they get down 30 cents an hour. Now, what does this promote? Is this good for the individuals? What happens when my kitchen staff knows, and they know it today, one person never uses a scale, or one server or cashier never rings stuff up. Because when you don't ring stuff up, what happens? Your food cost goes up. You're not weighing stuff. Your food cost goes all over the place. They know it goes on, but they don't say anything about it. Why? Because it's my money. They don't care about it. What happens now when I turn it into their money where they can make a bonus? What happens now? They'll solve your problems. They will self-police everything for you. They will help get your C players out of there because what's happening to their chance to make more money when you have a C player there that's not following the rules? They'll push them out. they will push them out. So if you're not man or woman enough to get rid of the C players, let your staff do it for you. PALS does this. I learned this from PALS. You could work great in a pizza environment. They call it Gator. Get all the orders right. For every hour, there's no mistakes, no pizza or no hamburger in their case goes over the cook time. They put $1 in the suggestion box, and at the end of the week, they divide up however much is in there based on the hours worked. So if I worked 20% of the hours in the kitchen, I get 20% of what's in there. If you work 10% of the hours, you get 10%. What this promotes, similar to the cost of goods sold bonus, is individually we all have to perform our best. Individually it's fair because those who work the most get the most, but it also promotes the team aspect of this. And it self-polices everything for us, okay? This one has no financial bearing whatsoever, but I learned this in Chino, California in 1990 from a manager that I worked for. Corporate was coming in a couple of days, and he took a roll of day dots and he put them all over the kitchen in these hard to see spaces, find the dot, clean the spot. Every 10 dots we cleaned, I mean, we're scrubbing brass pipes under the sink, behind the dishwasher, stuff we had. What was he trying to teach us to do? Look. Now, the C player employees said, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb. Look at how hard you guys are working. But what happened? We got the kitchen clean, you pull the weeds, get rid of them, and it changes it. The eloquent announcer Charles Barkley said at the NBA Slam Dunk Contest a couple years ago to a contestant who thought he was really king of the planet, wasn't doing anything that awesome. He says, hey, Charles, he says, Gatorade doesn't help people that suck. Gatorade doesn't help people that suck. And what that means is incentives will never get the wrong person to do the right thing. Please don't call me in 2 weeks and go, TJ, I tried this incentive thing and my C player didn't change. Your C player will not change. What will happen is your A's will become A+, your B's will become B+, and your C's will hopefully go away because they'll become the outcast that they should be already. Okay, so don't think incentives will get you to do the wrong thing. Now here's kind of the recap of those things as we get closer to wrapping it up. I want you to do just one simple thing because there's kind of some takeaways from there. Again, my name or my email will be on the next slide. But everybody just kind of get on the edge of your seat and lean in. Just kind of lean in. Okay, the one last thing I want you to remember. Okay, really there's not one last thing other than when you fill out the surveys on the app, you can say, TJ had me on the edge of my seat. All right, thank you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of the show. And if you guys need the handouts, they're right up there. All right, thank you.